Shagagark. Kailarach. On. Achutzachtart. On. Kump. Guts. Badvi. Ar.
So proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, who spread stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and a rocket's wrecked the land.
Պատրաստ։ Աչուցաղթարց, on։ Քայլարաչ, on։ Գաց։
Come
Պատրաստ։
My name is Lale Pakraduni, and I am a graduate student at CSUN. I recently moved to the United States from Lebanon, where my paternal grandfather was forced to reconstruct his life after he and his mother were deported from their home in Diyarbakir. In fact, my grandfather's father, a teacher, was one of the first to fall victim of the systematic murders of Armenians committed by the Ottoman Turks in 1915. I do not live in my home in Diyarbakir today because my ancestors were deported from their homeland. I am part of the Armenian diaspora because of the atrocities of 1915, because of the Armenian genocide.
My name is Vagar Shakavetisyan. I am a student at Holy Martyrs Ferahan High School, an AYF Artsakh chapter member, and a fourth-generation survivor of the deportations and massacres that occurred in Iqtir and Aintab. And I, too, am a member of the diaspora.
Dr. Diane Harrison, president of CSUN, Arjanabadiv der Razmik Kahana Khachadurian, Yev Badvarjan Hokapartuchun, Honorable Congressman Brad Sherman, Honorable Assembly Members Scott Wilk, Matt Dababne, and Adri Nazarian, Glendale City Clerk Ardashes Kasakyan, Hoita Arevelian Amerigai Getronagan Gomidei Nergaitsutsich, Enger Haig Oshagan, Hoita Aremedian Amerigai Getronagan Gomidei Nergaitsutsich, Enger Viken Hovsepian, Homi Yev Hamaskayini Shirchanayin Varchuchunneru Nergaitsutsichner, Hoita Arshavir Shiragyan Gomideiuchun, Հարագից կոմիտեություններու եւ քյուր միություններու ներկայացուցիչներ, Ֆերայան ասկային դպրոցի դոներունություն եւ խնամակալ մարմին, and dear guests, before proceeding, I would like to invite Dr. Diane Harrison for her opening remarks.
Good evening. I am pleased to welcome all of you this evening to California State University, Northridge. Thanks to our CSUN Armenian Student Association and the North Valley Armenian Cultural Foundation for sponsoring tonight's event. CSUN is very, very proud to host this commemoration, which I think reflects the university's strong historical relationship with the Armenian community. As you know, the greater Los Angeles area is home to one of the largest number of Armenians outside the Republic of Armenia. And at CSUN, we enroll the largest number of Armenian students of any four-year institution in the nation. We estimate that somewhere between 6 and 10% of our over 40,000 students are of Armenian descent. In 1976, the CSUN Armenian Student Association was formed. In 1985, thanks to the efforts and the hard work of the Armenian Student Association and the contributions and support of the Armenian community, CSUN's Armenian Studies program was established to provide students with an understanding and appreciation of the Armenian language, literature and culture, and the contributions of Armenians to the world. And so this year also marks the 30th anniversary of the founding of that academic program. I'm very honored to join you and with our distinguished guest, Congressman Sherman, Assembly members, Adrian Nazarian, Matt Dababne, and Scott Wilk, who I believe is on his way, and Glendale City Clerk Ardashes Kazakian, in commemorating the centennial of the start of the Armenian genocide, and more importantly, the men, the women, and the children who were its victims. The 20th century ushered in the modern world as we know it, and brought great advances that many people had ever the freedom and opportunity to improve their lives as well as those of their families and communities. But unfortunately, it was also a time of suffering and persecution for many peoples. And the victims of the Armenian genocide we remember tonight were among the first in the modern age to suffer from hate and intolerance in a systematic manner. At CSUN, we are very proud to contribute to the efforts of our student association and the local Armenian community in remembering the victims of this great tragedy, and to keep alive Armenian pride and culture. And just as importantly, I appreciate that all of your efforts and goals are not just to ensure that the genocide and its victims, members of your families and community, are never forgotten, but also to ensure that such crimes are never repeated, and to show that hate and intolerance have no place in our world. And for that, I support and salute you. However, as we all know, sadly, as news from around the world and in the United States, quite frankly, show us, every day, hate, intolerance, and violence remain a continuing challenge for all of us. CSUN joins you in celebrating the memories and the lives of the victims of the genocide, and through our mission of education and truth to better the lives of our students and the community. Through such efforts and remembrances like tonight, we can help ensure that such atrocities never happen again. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this very special evening. Thank you.
Բարի երեկո հարգելի ներկաներ։ 100 տարիներ շարունակ հայ սփյուռքը պայքարած է մնալու համար հայ, բայելու համար իր հայկականությունը, մշակույթը, լեզուն, երգն ու նվագը։ 100 տարիներ հայ դպրոցը կոյադեված է իր համեստ կառույցներով։ Եկեղեցին ու միությունները բահած են հայոթի մաքիձը ամենեն դժվար պայմաններում մեջ։ Այս բոլորը որպեսզի մենք մնանք հայ։ 1915-ի հայկական ցեղասպանությունը քակատնագետներ հայերը ոչնչացնելու փորձին Օսմանցի թուրքը 100 տարիներ շարունակ նպատակ ունեցած է փնաճնչել հայասկը աշխարհի քարտեզեն։ Թուրքը, ոչրակորդ թուրքը 600 տարի մեզ ոտնագող հրավ, սպաննեց, ստրգացուց եւ ապա փորձեց փնաճնչել, բայց մենք դակավին գանք։ Ահա այստեղ ենք, հավաքված հարգելու համար մեր նահատակները, բայց ավելին մենք հավաքված ենք այստեղ անգամ եւս հիշեցնելու Թուրքին, որ ինք ցախողած է, եւ մենք դակավին գանք։ Այո, հարգելի ներկաներ, մենք դակավին գանք, սակայն Թուրքը անալ դակավին գա, անգա եւ դակավին կմնա անբադիժ, անգմնա անբադիժ հագարակ 1.5 միլիոն հայ նահատակներու, կմնա անբադիժ հագարակ 600 տարվան հայերու անմոռանալի տանջանքներուն եւ անդագավին գդիրե մեր կանաչ թաշտերուն, մեր հզոր լեռներուն եւ գաբույտ երկնքին։ Անգմնա մեր բաբենական հողերուն վրա, անբադիժ եւ անմեղ։ Համաշխարհային առաջին պատերազմը լավագույն առիթներ Օսմանցիին, որովհետեւ իրակորձե իր ծրագրած ցեղասպանությունը։ Զրբարդություններ ու սուտ պատճառաբանություններ օգտագործելով Թուրքը անգամ եւս սկրծավ օտար երկրներուն ուշադրությունը շեղել իրականութենեն։ 1.5 միլիոն անմեղ հայեր դեղահանված, անոթի ու ծարավ հասան արաբական անապատները։ Եվ անգամ եւս հստակացավ, թե օտար պետություններ իրենց անձնական շահերեն մեկնած գնան նույնիսկ օժանդակել ամբիսի արարքիմը, որ մարդկային բոլոր արժեքներուն թեմ է։ Մենք այսօր իբրև հայ երդասարտներ ժառանգորդներ մեր հզոր պատմության եւ պաշտպանները մեր վեհ թադին։ Անգամ եւս կհիշեցնենք համայն աշխարհին, թե մենք կբայքարենք մեր թադին լուծման համար։ Նույնիսկ 100 տարի անց մինչև այն ժամանակ, որ մենք կապրինք օդարության մեջ, եւ մինչև այն ժամանակ, որ թուրքը գվայելե եւ գբղձե մեր հայրենի սուրբ հողը, մենք մեր զենքերը վարպիտի չի տնենք։ Այսօր մենք կդոնենք մեր հաղթանակը նաեւ այն հերոսները, որոնց վրիժարու փամփուշտները սպանեցին ցեղասպան Թալյաթը, Էնվերը, Ջեմալը եւ բոլոր անոնք, որոնք թերագադար էին այդ արարքին։ Մենք կդոնենք մեր քոյությունը, թեգուզ մեր երկրեն դուրս։ Մենք կդոնենք հարությունը մեր ժողովրդին։ Մենք կդոնենք հայ ժողովրդին քոյադևումը նոր մայիսներու հույսով։ Մենք, տաշնակցական երդասարտներս, դագավին թուրքը կնկատենք մեր թշնամին։ Մեզի համար բարձ է եւ հստակ։ Մինչև այն ժամանակ, որ թուրքը անպատիժ մնացած է, տաշնակցական երդասարտին թշնամին կմնա ան։ Այո, գրնա այս մոդեցումը ծայրահեղ տվիլ։ Սակայն տաշնակցական երդասարտը չի գրնար քոհանալ լոզունգներով կամ ուռուցիկ խոսքերով։ Հասած չէ բա երկաթե շերեփը առնելու եւ պայքարելու մեր արդար թադին համար։ Հայ երդասարտը ալանհամբեր դարձած է, անհարթուժող դարձած է համաշխարհային քաղաքական խաղերուն հանդեպ։ Ալժամը հասած չէ իրականացնելու մեր թարերու երազը, ստեղծելու մեր միացյալ հայրենիքը։ Գփավե երկենք, լանք, փողոքենք, 100 երկար տարիներ անցան։ Ալ հասած չէ ժամը վերադիրանալու մեր հողերուն։ Ալ գփավե ապրինք օդարության մեջ, ցուլումի հարադեպ վտանգին դիմաց, ալ գփավե։ Երդասարտական բորտկում մնե, երազ մնե, նպատակ մնե, որուն համար ես ու երդասարտ ընկերներս կպայքարենք։ Դանիել Վարուժան տասնամյակներ առաջ հայ ժողովրդի վարտահեղեղ արշալույսի ոտնացայները գարներ։ Կարեկին նշտե, հբարդությամբ նայեցավ հայ ասկի երդասարտության։ Դասնապետյան հայտարարեց, թե հայ երդասարտը գբորտկա անարդարորեն ծանրացող պատմության անեցքին թեմ, իր ազատ անգախ բնակավայրը կփնտրե, իր սեփական ու անգաշկանտ արդահայտությունը գուզե նվիրապերել մարդկության, անպայման գուզե ապրիլ ամբողջական Հայաստանի համար։ Գաբրինք, պայքարելու եւ ստեղծելու համար մեր ամբողջական Հայաստանը, այլ ժամանակն է արդար հատուցման։
Nearly 100 years ago, the Armenian people were stripped of their rights, forced out of their homes and sent to the desert. They were humiliated, beaten, tortured, and murdered by a ruthless people fueled by hatred. The Turks tried to annihilate us, make us only a memory in their Ottoman past, and at one point, they believed that they had succeeded. They believed that they had once and for all ridded the world of the Armenian people. But today, the Armenian people dance and sing. They pray and rejoice. As Armenians, we are still alive, and any attempt to shun us, censor us, or eliminate us has failed for a century and will continue to fail. They burned our churches, and we rebuilt them taller and stronger. They pillaged our homes, and we created new ones all over the world. They drowned out our voices with propaganda, and now we shout louder than ever. They tried to bury us, but they didn't know that we were seeds, and those seeds have blossomed into a thriving culture. But even though we have proven our capability for survival, being an Armenian, especially an Armenian, living during the centennial of our greatest tragedy is a heroic enterprise. We have a mission, a destiny ordained to us by the depths of the centuries to continue a struggle for our people and our lands. So the sliver of our beautiful country that we have left can be a whole, and the dispersed diaspora of the Armenians can be united. So the beautiful tongue we were gifted with by Mesro Mashtos can be passed on for countless generations, and so our rich culture can be inherited by our children and grandchildren. And this mission is for all the Armenian people. Our individual efforts must be united so that we no longer bleed red blood, but eat the red fruits from our land. No longer cry blue tears, but swim in the blue waters of Van. And no longer feel the pain of the orange sands we marched on in the desert, but harvest the orange wheat grown on our Armenian soil. And like our red, blue, and orange flag, we will always wave in every corner of this world until we finally wave on the summit of Mount Ararat. And this monumental torch will be passed on to my generation of youth, the generation that comes after mine, and so on, until we put an end to our centuries-old struggle. It is said that the youth is the hope of our future, and seeing the Armenian youth today, I know that there is a very bright future ahead for the Armenian people. With all our might, the Armenian youth will bear the burden of our people and continue this monumental struggle. Every year, the AYF fosters hope for all the Armenian youth, and this year, we shall strike the hearts of everyone in the world and let them know that the Armenian youth remains headstrong, the Armenian people remain alive, and the Armenian cause will be resolved. This is the time for restitution. I would now like to invite the AYF Juniors Harayd Manukyan chapter and the ARS Lori chapter Saturday school students to perform patriotic songs.
Քիչ ենք, բայց հայ ենք, գրեց Բարուր Սևակ։ Մենք քիչ ենք, սակայն մեզ հայ են ասում։ Մենք մեզ ոչ մեկից չենք կերատասում։ Պարզապես մենք էլ պիտի ընդունենք, որ մենք, միայն մենք Արարատ ունենք, եւ որ այստեղ է բարձրիկ Սևանում, երկինքը իր ճիշտ պատժեն ահանում։ Պարզապես Թավիթն այստեղ է քրվել, պարզապես Նարեկն այստեղ է քրվել, պարզապես գիտենք ժայռից վանք կերտել, քարից շինել ցուկ, մարդ սարքել գավից, ուսուցման համար եւ աշակերտել, քեղեցկին, փարուն, վսեմին, լավին։ Մենք քիչ ենք, սակայն մեզ հայ են ասում, մենք մեզ ոչ մեկից չենք կերատասում, պարզապես մեր փախն ուրիշ եղել, պարզապես շատ ենք մենք արյուն հեղել, պարզապես մենք մեր թարավոր կյանքում, երբ շատ ենք եղել ու եղել կյանքուն, դարձյալ չենք ճնշել մեկ ուրիշ ասկի, ոչ ոք չի դուժել զարգից մեր փազգի, թարեր եկել են ու թարեր անցել, ոչ մեկի վրա մենք չենք բռնացել, պարզապես մահն էր մեզ սիրարվել, իսկ մենք ինքնական նրան չենք տրվել, ու երբ ըստիված մեր հողն ենք թողել, Ուր էլ որ հասել, որտեղ էլ եղել, անչինչ հետ կերենք ամենուր թողել, չանացել ենք միշտ ամենքի համար, շինել ենք կամուրջ, կապել ենք կամար, ամենուր հերգել, հասրել փերքեր, ամենքին տվել միտք, արած երկեր։ Մենք քիչ ենք այո, բայց կոչվում ենք հայ, գիտենք դեռ ճանցած վերքերից տնքալ, ու նոր խնդուճան ծնձալ ու հրջվել, գիտենք թշնամու գողը մխրջվել, իսկ եթե ցանգան մեզ բռնի վարել, մենք գիտենք մխալ եւ գրակ մարել, իսկ եթե պետք է խավարը ծրել, գիտենք մոխրանալ որպես վարգերոն, գիտենք նաեւ մեզ գրքոտ սիրել, բայց ուրիշներին միշտ էլ հարգելով։ Մենք մեզ ոչ մեկից չենք կերատասում, բայց մեզ էլ գիտենք, մեզ հայ են ասում, և ինչու պիտի չաբարդանանք, գանք, պիտի լինենք ու դեռ շատանանք։
I would now like to invite Dikran Khodanyan to present the CSUN Armenian Student Association message.
Good evening, honored guests. My name is Dikan Khodanyan, and I serve as the Cultural Director of the Executive Board for the Sisan Armenian Student Association. I stand here today representing an Armenian student population of close to 4,000 students, the largest population of Armenian students at a university outside of Armenia. The Sisan ASA has a rich 39-year history and has constantly been maintaining an influence on campus and in the community. The ASA strives to present Armenian history and culture to both the Armenian and non-Armenian student population in the Northridge area in an effort to create an environment that promotes multiculturalism and ethnic diversity. I stand here to announce that the Sisan ASA is strong, active, vibrant, and has had an especially phenomenal year tackling several issues to advance the Armenian cause. This year marks the centennial of the Armenian Genocide, and our students from Sisan ASA have awoken. We've organized events bringing distinguished guests like Fethe Çetin, Turkish writer and lawyer who represented Hrant Dink's family, come and speak at Sisan. We've had a very successful Stain of Denial silent protest that helped spread awareness and helped educate all students throughout campus about the significance of the Armenian Genocide and its relevance 100 years later. We received certificate of recognition from Assemblymember Matt DeBobne and Congressman Brad Sherman for our efforts. We recently had a resolution passed by the Sisan student government declaring April 2015 as the month of the Armenian Genocide Centennial Commemoration. And when the Azeri Consul General came to Sisan, we quickly responded by calling Robert Avedisyan, the permanent representative of Nagorno-Karabakh to the United States, come speak and provide the truth about Nagorno-Karabakh instead of the fabrications delivered by the Azeri Consul. Regardless of what tasks came up, what events we needed to plan, or what needed to be organized, the students of Sisan ASA were alert, vigilant, and ready to tackle anything that came our way. We have made so many strides throughout the years, but we need to focus on what we're going to do next in order to have a stronger and bigger impact on the campus, the surrounding community, and the rest of the nation. Sisan is an educational institution that serves as the breeding ground for the future of our people. Future Armenian American engineers, journalists, lawyers, scientists, politicians, and human rights activists are molded and shaped right here on this campus. We are given the tools to succeed in any field and provided with the opportunities many of our ancestors were deprived of when the young Turks attacked their lands and killed over 1.5 million of them 100 years ago. But whatever path we pursue, whichever opportunities we take advantage of, and whatever accomplishments we strive for, we have to remain true to our roots and our heritage. We must stay united and make the presence of the Armenian cause known to all. Only when we stay united and bind together our great potential can we conquer any challenge that will approach us for the next 100 years. Մենք հբարդ ենք մեր ասկային պատկանելիությամբ եւ վճռած ենք հայտարարի աշխարհանքները շարունակել եւ անպայման հաջողությամբ բսակել զանոնք։ Շնորհակալություն։
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests. Thank you for all joining us tonight. My name is Oshin Hartunyan. I chair the Armenian National Committee North Valley Chapter. It's a privilege and honor to have our local representatives join us for this special occasion. First, I would like to invite longtime Friends of Armenians, Congress member, Honorable Brad Sherman.
Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks. Today, I will not go into my efforts in Congress over the last 19 years to aid the people of Armenia and Artsakh and Javak and Kasab and to cut aid for Turkey and Azerbaijan, because our focus today is one focus: the 100th centennial, the 100th year of commemoration of the Armenian Genocide. I'm so pleased that with me today are two members of the California Assembly who previously worked on my congressional staff, Adrian Nazarian and Matt Dababneh. Also here is Assemblyman Scott Wilk, who's doing an outstanding job, but think of how much better a job he'd be doing if only he'd had the experience of working on my staff. I have a certain jealousy with the California legislature because that legislature stood strong and proud, recognized the Armenian Genocide, and required it to be taught in our schools. Whereas Congress still cowers, still avoids a vote on the floor of the House of Representatives. 5 years ago, I joined with others in introducing the resolution and managed it in the Foreign Affairs Committee. We passed it in the committee itself, but then never took it up on the floor. It's not unusual. Senators Obama, Biden, and Kerry recognized the Armenian Genocide, but unfortunately, President, Vice President, and Secretary of State have failed to do so, though perhaps they're saving their declaration for the 24th of this month. After 100 years, why is it so important? Because genocide denial is the last step of a genocide. After the extermination of a people is the extermination of their memory. And because genocide denial is the first step in the next genocide. When Hitler found his compatriots wondering whether they could get away with the Holocaust, he turned to them and said, "After all, today, who speaks of the annihilation of the Armenians? We must." And had that genocide been more completely understood in the 1920s and the 1930s, we might not have seen the Holocaust in the 1940s. But not only is genocide denial the first step in the next genocide, but genocide acknowledgement can be the first step in healing for the victims. But not just the victims themselves, it can be the first step in the world dedicating itself to say never again will a people be expunged from the earth. And finally, genocide acknowledgement can be the first step in cleansing the perpetrator. Look at Germany today. Not a genocide denier, but rather a nation that has come to grips with its past. A nation accepted as the leader of Europe, joining the permanent nations, members of the Security Council in their grand negotiations in the forefront of leaders in the world. But look at Turkey, a nation that hides from its past and denies the genocide. Who will ever accept Turkey as a government that can be trusted on the world stage? It is not a coincidence that a government that denies genocide is also a government that does little or nothing to prevent criminal fighters from joining ISIS. And then it all comes together when ISIS goes after the people of Qassam. Now, I realize that the ANC is not an organization dedicated to helping the Turkish people. But nothing is more important for the Turkish people than to drop the genocide denial and come to grips with their past. Only then can Turkey become a modern country worthy of respect on the world stage. And genocide acknowledgement is also critically important to the United States. Will the world accept American leadership if it seems that our view of what is truth is colored by concerns about who will take offense? Somehow realpolitik can obliterate such a serious crime as genocide. This should be the year in which the Congress steps forward and acknowledges the genocide because it happened. Let the chips fall where they may. This is a centennial year. This is the year in which Congress should act. Last month, I joined with several others in introducing the Armenian Genocide Resolution, and I look forward to working with all of you to see it passed. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Congressman, for your unwavering support for the Armenian cause in Washington, D.C. Next, I would like to invite one of our own, Honorable Assembly Member Scott Wilk.
It's an honor for myself and my beautiful wife, Vanessa Safoyan Wilk, to be here with you tonight. This year, for the first time in the 165-year history of the California State Assembly, we now have an Armenian caucus. And under the rules of the House, it takes 3 to start one. And so if you know anything about our chamber, you have to ask yourself, well, how did that happen? We have Nazarian, we have a Chajian, but that's it. But what happened is I went to the speaker, and I had a deadhide there, and I said, what do I need to do to become Armenian? And he said, be christened in the Apostolic Church. So I went and I got christened in the Apostolic Church. And I presented my certificate to the speaker, and he says, well, I guess you're Wilkian. So I'm what you call an ABC, Armenian by choice. But having said all that, I'm just so passionate about this issue. Obviously, the historical facts are there, and we all know that. But, you know, I have met people who survived the genocide. In fact, Vanessa's great aunt, Anika Bogosian, husband was killed. Her and her children were forced to march. The children were killed. She was raped and left for dead in the desert. And it's an incredible story, which I obviously don't have time to get into. But you know, eventually was rescued, came to America, actually settled here in the San Fernando Valley. And Anik's story, as well as the other 1.5 million Armenians who were killed, deserve to be acknowledged and told. And the world needs to know it so it never, ever happens again. And they tried to exterminate us, but they failed. And as the history of our people continued to unfurl, we've not only survived, but we have thrived. And whether it is acknowledging the genocide, the free independence of ARSOC, we will never, ever, ever give up until those things happen. And I'm here to work with you in this fight, and we will get justice, and we will prevail, and God bless you, and God bless Armenia and the United States of America.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Next, I would like to invite our newly elected Assembly member, Honorable Matt Dababne.
You know, I had the great privilege of being sworn in on this stage about a year and a half ago. And when I was able to take that oath, one of the first community members that came up to me was Nishan Kalukian. And he said, we have to make sure this year we pass legislation so that every child in the state of California is able to understand the atrocities that happened starting in 1915. And along with the help of my colleague and friend, Assemblymember Wilk, and my colleague and friend, Assemblymember Nazarian, we were able to pass that in an overwhelming bipartisan fashion so that every student in California will learn of the first genocide of the 20th century. But because of this, I felt the need to do my own research. I was very fortunate to work for Congressman Sherman, a true leader on this issue, for over a decade in his congressional staff. I was fortunate to go to UCLA, where I took a class on the Ottoman Empire and the Armenian Genocide. And so instead of going into more depth tonight about some of the work we're doing in the Assembly, I know many of you will be up there next week. I look forward, or the following week, I look forward to working and meeting with everyone. I just want to read one quote from the former consul in Aleppo, Jesse B. Jackson, who was one of the first people to notify Ambassador Morgenthau of the atrocities going on. He said in April in 1915, he wrote this: "Deportation was just a euphemism for mass murder. No provisions were made for the Armenians on the long journey in exile out of their homeland. Unless they could bribe a guard, they were given no food or water. Most perished along the way. Those who survived ended up in a terrible open-air concentration camp called Deir el-Zor. There they were starved and killed by sadistic guards. Those that were lucky enough to escape with the help of friendly Syrians were the minority, as tens or possibly hundreds of thousands were killed, murdered, or starved to death. This was without a doubt a systematic plan by the Ottoman Turks to annihilate the Armenian race. Clearly, the history is clear. There is no doubt in the minds of any reasonable person that what happened in April of 1915 was the beginning of the first genocide of the 20th century. And while we continue to look for the end goals of recognition by our Congress, recognition by the Ottoman government, now called Turkey, and recognition by those that deny these crimes, it's important to remember that every year that we pursue the journey towards this destination, we continue to educate and inform not only members of our own community, members throughout California, but those throughout our country that now know more about this genocide and will help prevent future atrocities. So with that, I want to thank the ANC for your partnership. I look forward to seeing everyone in Sacramento in the coming days, and I look forward to working with Congressman Brad Sherman as he continues to fight to make sure that we have this recognition in our Congress. Thank you so much.
Before calling the last speaker, I just want to acknowledge that Assembly Member Adrin Nazarian was here and had to leave early because of a scheduling conflict. So next, I would like to invite our former Executive Director of Armenian National Committee, Western Region, a candidate for Assembly for District 43, and currently serving as Glendale City Clerk, Honorable Ardashes Kasakian.
Thank you, Ngiroshin. I was asked to speak this evening, And I apologize. When I was asked to speak this evening, the topic was titled Reflections. So, reflect, I shall try. Dear friends, I stand here before you today searching for words that can give meaning to what happened 100 years ago on April 24th. And I've really tried my best as we've approached the centennial, and we see the news feeds on Facebook, we see the emails that our friends send around, we read Aspires or we watch the televisions. We can't escape the fact that there is a centennial coming about. So as an Armenian American, we're compelled, each and every single one of us, to reflect and think about what it means. But how can you really pick words that can describe what such terrible tragedy means 100 years removed from when it began? I mean, the Turkish government's policy of annihilation of the Armenians began, but as Congressman Brad Sherman noted, it has not ended. As long as the Republic of Turkey attempts to engage in verbal gymnastics, twisting and turning phrases and facts to ignore what happened, we cannot close this chapter of human history. As long as there are individuals and governments who engage in the denial of the Armenian genocide, of the Jewish Holocaust, of the Rwandan genocide, we as Armenian Americans cannot remain silent. As long as there's a government in Turkey led by individuals who claim that they will teach us, the Armenians, the lessons of 1915 all over again if we, quote, the diaspora, do not behave, it is up to us to remind them that we are not alone, that the cause of justice has many powerful friends, and there's a mighty tide of these activists committed to helping us in places like in Congress with Congressman Brad Sherman, in the legislature here in California with our friends such as Assemblymember Wilk, Assemblymember Nazarian, and Assemblymember Dababne. I am the grandson and the great-grandson of survivors. My great-grandfather, Hagop Arsenyan, was a pharmacist in a town called Ovacik, just outside of Istanbul. He carried his newborn son on his back and with his wife marched through the miles of desert sand, staring death right in the face. In the end, by a twist of fate, he and his immediate family were spared, but over 60 of his aunts, uncles, brothers, and cousins were never seen again. But he survived, and I stand before you today as a testament of his survival. My great-grandfather, on my mother's side, Krikor Ghazaryan, was a young man when he was drafted into the Turkish army. When word reached him of the fate of other Armenians enlisted in the Turkish army, how they were being placed in work battalions and being killed, he fled. During his escape, he was injured. He was recovered by Allied forces, whereupon he joined the Allies as an officer in the French Foreign Legion, and he fought to make sure that he and his family survived, and that the fate that fell upon the rest of his family did not fall upon others. We can and should mourn the loss of innocent life, but we must remember that we survived. And that is what we must celebrate moving forward the day after the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. The survival and growth and success of the Armenian people in California, in the United States, and around the world will be how we will conquer the darkness of denial by Turkey. Let me tell you my own reflection as to how I came to understand about the Armenian genocide and learn of it before I even learned about the fate of my great-grandparents. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up in New Jersey. And on the East Coast, as some of you who have maybe come to California to find better weather and other opportunities know, that on the East Coast, the epicenter of the Armenian community is the church. Everything revolves around the church. On Sunday, we would go to church early in the morning before Badarak began, not in the middle of it, not walking in and out, not standing outside of the church. We would go to Badarak, We would stay throughout the Badarak, then we would have Sunday school, then there would be a cultural presentation afterwards. And it was going to church where I learned about my culture, seeing plays by Hagop Baronyan that depicted the life of the Armenian aristocracy in Constantinople in the 19th century. And I would see Armenian men dressed with fezes in traditional garb, acting out these plays, Mezabadiv Muratskans and others. And so that came to be my understanding of Armenian culture. I was around 5 years old in kindergarten when by accident, because my parents would keep these books on a higher shelf on the bookshelf so I couldn't reach them, I came across a book about World War I, and specifically on the genocide. And as a child, I remember being shocked when I saw a picture in black and white depicting a man dressed much like the people I had seen on stage at the cultural center, standing with a rifle, with the decapitated heads on a table displayed before him. My mother, who was very upset that I had looked at the book without her permission, explained to me that the person in the photo, although dressed like the people that I would see in the plays, was actually a Turkish gendarme, and that the heads belonged to the Armenian priests, like the ones from whom I would receive Holy Communion. And she explained to me, along with my father, what befell our families and how they survived. Now, flash forward about 19 years. I'm in college at UCLA. And I'm studying at the University Research Library in the Stacks, and at the time I was taking a few Armenian courses, and I come across, in 1996, in January, an issue of a magazine called Le Monde. It's a French popular magazine. It's like Life magazine. And as I'm flipping through the pages, working on a research paper, my blood runs cold as I come across a picture of a Turkish soldier kneeling in the snow, posing with the decapitated head of a Kurdish man, a supposed rebel, a member possibly of the PKK, I know not. But I remember distinctly my blood running cold, because this was not a picture in black and white. This was a picture in full color. 85 years after the Turkish government tried to annihilate the Armenian people, after it has escaped justice, after it has failed to provide restitution for its crimes, it continues to carry out the same crimes today against others. Today, we see what is happening in the Middle East. And the words of the great civil rights leader, Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., come to mind. He said, quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. And so today we watch as Armenian towns in Syria, as the congressman mentioned, historic Armenian settlements, have been ravaged by the forces of darkness who wish to erase Armenians from the earth once and for all. We see the forces of ISIS, aided by the very same Turkish government, hell-bent on ensuring that the Christian Armenian heritage of the Near East is nothing more than a footnote in history. We should not allow this to happen. So I ask each and every one of you to remember that even though the light of our compatriots was extinguished, ours still burns bright. Although their voices were forever silenced, we still have ours. And our lives begin to end the day we become silent on things that matter. So show the world what matters to you in the streets of Hollywood, at the monument in Montebello, on your campus here on CSUN, at the ballot box when you vote for your representatives to fight for you in Congress or in Sacramento. Show the world that we are alive and that we do speak out on things that matter. We do speak out on things that matter and on the Armenian genocide. its just resolution, and the lives of everyone we lost. Show them that it matters. Thank you. May God rest the souls of the 1.5 million martyrs.